Hey everyone, it's Emmanuel here. I was just reading Luke chapter 18 here in my car after I drove my daughter to school. And when I read this passage, it's talking about the parable of the persistent widow. Jesus is teaching on prayer and persistence and all that. And that reminded me of an instance when I was still in seminary a few years back. And in one of those classes, it's like a preaching class, okay? And I had to preach on this particular parable, Luke chapter 18, verse 1 to 8. And I felt pretty good about it. You know, I worked out my sermon outline and all the stuff that they're teaching and how you're supposed to do it. And so the prof would, and that night when you're giving that lecture, he basically pops into each different classes. There are like 4 or 5 different people preaching at the same time. So he pops into each group to check on people. And so I was preaching this, the prof wasn't even in here anymore. And but when I was about to wrap up the conclusion, the prof walks in. Okay, this is the preaching prof, right? And he starts hearing me, and he starts I was thinking, like, I'm doing pretty good, you know, like people are really resonating, I feel like, with my message, and I think they were, I mean the students. And then but when he walked in, he had kind of like a straight face, you know, hands crossed, and kind of listening. He's like, Emmanuel, why don't you repeat your introduction again? Because I was rapping out, right? He's like, let me hear your intro again. Because, you know, the intro and all that, the way they teach in seminaries, you know, you got to wrap everything up and outline and all that stuff. So back then I was doing it that way. And so I gave it to him. I gave it to him, my intro, and I gave him my conclusion. And so, to my surprise, at the end, to keep the thing really short, is he didn't really agree with my take on this passage. Which is basically like, you know, from the look of the surface of it, it's just talking about, you know, being like really just persistent in prayer, okay? But he's talking about at the very end, there's a verse, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? And so I don't even remember like what he was talking about. He has some other hidden point that he was talking about more than just about persisting in prayer. So why am I telling you this, okay? The reason I'm telling you this is the second point is more important. But the first point is, number one, don't think so highly of yourself, because other people may not even feel that way, okay? But at the same time, know that your identity is not found in the opinions of others, but in the identity of Jesus, that if we remain in him through faith, okay? So the second thing is really what I want to talk to you about, and that is, you know what happened at the end of this course? You know what this prof did? In the entire class, he gave me the preaching award in that class. And when I graduated in 2009 in seminary, I went on the stage and shook his hand. Actually, I think I shook the dean's hand, but he was sitting up there. He gave me the some Robinson, some like very famous preacher. That's what the award's called, something Robinson Award for preaching for that class. And thinking in hindsight right now, and when I was looking at this passage, he purposely became hard on me, because while he gave those comments and, you know, he seemed like he wasn't very supportive, he was actually trying to mold me to be harder on myself, to do better, because I think he knows that I think he told me that I think God has given you a talent in terms of preaching, in terms of speaking and all that. And so what he was trying to do is he's trying to mold me to be a better speaker and preacher and things like that. And today, I know that God has given me that gift in certain ways. Now, I'm not like a perfect speaker. I know I see on like TV, there are a lot of people who's very eloquent. They don't say things like, you know, like these things that I say, you know. So I know I'm not like 100% perfect or whatever, but I just know that sometimes, you know, people tell me, okay, I think God's given you a gift. So what I'm trying to say is this, okay? The gift that God gives you, you can use it in any way, using in preaching the gospel, using your daily life in school, in your business, and anywhere, okay? And so at the end of the day, you got to understand, sometimes you feel like you're really hard-pressed, okay? You're like, I feel like I'm doing great here. How come I feel like either God is not seeing this or others are not seeing this, right? And my encouragement to you is, maybe it's not that God doesn't see it. Maybe it's not that others don't see it, but there are some people actually want the betterment of you to give you a little bit more pressure so that you can do better. Okay, now I'm not suggesting that God is going to make you sin, or God's going to put you in some kind of sickness so that you can, be more hard pressed. Okay, we don't see that in the ministry of Jesus. Jesus never make people sin. People sin because of their own lust drawn away. That James talked about that. And God never in the New Testament gave people sickness. Okay, through Jesus Christ. Okay, now obviously I'm not going to get into the whole thing about Old Testament and all that, but Jesus in the New Testament, in the New Covenant, represents the will of God. He's never done this once. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is basically anything in life, okay, or it could relate to your spiritual walk, or it could be at your work place, or it could be in your school. Why is this teacher so hard on me? Right? Why is this boss so hard on me? Maybe, they're just bad. Or maybe they're trying to draw out the good from you, right? If you have kids, sometimes that's what parents do. If they know that you have potential, they want to draw out the better side of you. Now, you're going to encourage them. You're going to help them along, but you're not just going to always say, oh, good job, right? I mean, like, they just can't improve. So when I was reading this parable today, I just want to encourage you guys, if you feel that you're in a place where you're trying a lot and you feel like others are not seeing what you're doing, be encouraged, knowing that, number one, you don't live for the opinions of others. I've had so many people tell me many different opinions throughout my life. Okay, some of them are very legit, and I have to examine myself for it. Some of them, people don't see my vision, they don't see my calling, and that's fine. This happens in my spiritual walk in terms of what I believe about the things of God. Some of this stuff is about my business, my career choice. Some is about how I handle and raise my kids. Many different things. People are going to give you opinions in life, but you got to understand that your identity is not in the opinions of others, it is in God. So if you understand that, okay, and you try your best to live according to the principles of God, who cares about what other people think of you or what they say of you? Okay, now I'm not saying go out and be stupid and offend everyone. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, what the Bible says is, as best as you can, live peaceably with others. But you just can't live your life for others. You have to live your life according to what you think God has called you to do and led you and your family to do, and do that. Okay, with that in mind, also understand that there are people in your life, and God himself will want to draw out the better part of you. So sometimes if you feel hard pressed, do not be discouraged, because at the end you'll know that you actually become a better person and doing certain things better because of those experiences that you go through. And so I hope that encourages you, and may you continue to walk in faith, following Jesus on the narrow path. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.